I wrote down a list of topics to be speaking about today, but then you go on American television and then you keep dropping news bomb after news bomb after news bomb. So now I'm kind of writing lots of different things down. We'll get to all those, the Michael Chandler stuff and the stuff on Fight Island, which we're all extremely excited about. But what I wanted to start by talking about the weird times that everybody's been featuring and going through this year. You must be incredibly proud of the UFC and your team and the way that they have picked up the baton and run with it. There's a lot of sports entertainment businesses out there that are struggling right now to be able to get back to some type of normality. And the UFC have come out of this leading the way and kind of setting the example for the rest of the world of how about going to do things. So you must be incredibly proud of your team.
Well, thank you. And yes, I am. And that's why I was so cocky about it going into it, saying that we'd do it. I knew that I would spend the money and do whatever it would take. I mean, we were talking about building our own lab here for COVID testing at UFC headquarters. Where there's a will, there's a way. And if you're willing to try to solve problems, you probably will. Then I knew my team are a bunch of gangsters and they love this stuff just as much as I do, and they would go. And of course, you know, when you're a professional fighter, they're a very special kind of athlete, different and built differently than everybody else in the world. While you had a lot of these other athletes going, no way, I'm not going to go. We're afraid. We're this, we're that. I knew that fighters would fight.
There's that age-old saying of stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Has that ever been more prominent for fighters right now?
No. Yeah. And listen, for some of these younger kids that are trying to build a name and make some money, especially during these crazy times, couldn't be a better time for them.
No, absolutely. Let's talk US.
You got the guys that are super rich and have already made so much money that now's a good time for them to hang out with their families, do vacations, I don't know, do whatever the hell it is they're doing. And for these young, hungry kids, you know, these guys can fight as much as they want to. It couldn't be a better scenario for us right now.
Let's talk about UFC 253, man, because, well, let's talk about the whole of Fight Island because it's ridiculous. You did it last time. The last time we went to Abu Dhabi, it was ridiculous. I didn't think that it could be topped with the things and the narrative that played out, but this one just seems ridiculous. The way that you've set up UFC 253 with the main attraction there in the middleweight division probably being the fight that the majority of fight fans have been salivating over for such a long period of time. This one seems to have been brewing for a period of time. I remember Israel Adesanya calling out Costa after his Brad Tavares fight, but now we're here. These guys have built up wonderful reputations. It's a historic fight where we've got two undefeated guys going at it. This is the first time that's happened for a title fight anyway since UFC 98. They don't like each other. Dana, is there a better concoction? Is there a better narrative, a better mix that you've ever come across for a fight like this?
No, I mean, that's why I'm saying I predict this is going to be the fight of the year. And, you know, you have two guys in their prime, undefeated. And, you know, stylistically, the way this fight matches up, he likes to stay on the outside, pick people apart. He's proven himself. He's done everything the doubters said he couldn't do. What's going to happen when he fights a wrestler? He doesn't have punching power to knock people out. What happens when he gets into deep water with a tough, you know, another tough fighter? He's answered all those questions. Now you come into the Costa fight against another guy who's undefeated, is going to stay in front of him all night long. No, despite how big and muscular he is, he's got cardio for days, and he throws every punch with bad intentions and tries to knock you out. You couldn't have a more fun fight than this.
And that's obviously the piece de resistance when it comes to 253, but the co-main as well is extremely exciting because for a 10-year period, we've seen two guys really dominate the light heavyweight division. Now John's moved up, and obviously DC's retired. There's a lot of other sharks now, again, licking their lips because there's a wonderful opportunity at light heavyweight, a division that has been traditionally stellar for you with some serious superstars coming out there, and we've got Reyes and Blachowicz going at it for the title.
Yeah, I listen, you just said it all. There's nothing for me to say after what you just said out, but you're absolutely right. Yes, and it's good to see these two, you know, young, hungry guys get an opportunity at winning the championship. And who knows what's in store for John Jones? Does he come back to light heavyweight and try to regain it? Does he move to heavyweight or does he retire? So who knows?
Have you had any conversations with John recently? Because fans are obviously excited at the prospect of maybe going to heavyweight, should I say?
I have not.
Do you envisage that it will be heavyweight? It doesn't look like he's done.
I have no clue what John Jones is going to do. He's not interested in fighting right now, so I'm not bugging him.
Okay. So with that in mind, I would imagine that it's going to be Stipe against Francis. Is there any plan chronologically in your head of when that might happen?
Not yet, no. I'm looking to wrap up 2020 and put this year in my rearview mirror. Even though it wasn't that horrible to us, it was horrible to a lot of people and to the world. And I'm just ready to I don't know what I expect in 21, but it's got to be better than 20.
Well, hopefully we can get back in those arenas and watch these fights face to face. Fight Island obviously starts with 253. We've got some fantastic fight nights in the middle of that, but I want to quickly speed ahead because I know you're pressed for time to get to 254. To have Khabib against Gaethje in a fight that maybe at the start of the year we were all thinking that it would have been Khabib and Tony because that's what we were all looking forward. But Justin puts in that wonderful performance against Tony earlier on in the year to set up this fight. And again, I know that you've billed Izzy and Costa as the fight of the year, but this one could actually top it, 4 weeks later?
You're right. I mean, the reality is Gaethje's MMA wrestling is on point. I mean, his MMA wrestling is solid. He hits like a truck. He can knock you out with either hand. And then you got Khabib, I mean, who undefeated has and I think that because Conor is such a huge superstar and because Conor talks so much and all that stuff, that people don't actually give Conor the credit that he deserves for how good and how tough he really is. And if you look at the fight with him and Khabib, impressive. So I don't disagree with you at all. That's a fun fight. And again, stylistically, if you look at a guy like Gaethje, he's the most dangerous type of fighter for Khabib.
I agree with that. You announced earlier on today that Michael Chandler is coming to the UFC. You've got him as reserve for that fight. What's the thought process behind that?
Yeah, so the guy wants to fight. I'm looking for people right now that want to fight. I've said it many times. I said it in this interview, and I'll say it again. If you don't want to fight, no problem. You don't have to fight. Not begging anybody to fight. If you want to fight, I got plenty of fights for you. This kid wants to fight. I love his attitude. He's going to be the backup in case anything happens to Khabib or Gaethje. He will come to Fight Island. He will acclimate. He will train for this fight. He will cut weight, and he will weigh in no matter what and be our backup guy.
Did you try to make him a fight for Abu Dhabi, or
Nope.
has it always been backup?
He's going to be the backup for this fight.
There was obviously the rumor that Tony and Dustin was going to feature on this card as well. How did that not materialize, should I say?
Didn't happen. We couldn't make a fight. If you can't make a fight, then you move on to the next.
Fair enough. The rest of the card, though, looks unbelievable. When you look at that card and all the cards that you've made down the years, be honest, is this the best one that you've ever made?
It's right up there. Absolutely. It's right up there.
There are some sensational fights on there. And I know that we've just seen a little bit of the press conference as well. I know that he's going to be, if everything goes well, he'll be on Fight Island. Hamzat Chimaev, a guy that has caught the hearts of quite a lot of guys over here in Europe. And I know he's caught your heart as well. Have you ever come across a character like that? Just the way that he carries himself and then fulfills it all in the octagon as well?
Extremely confident in himself, is willing to fight every weekend, wants to fight everybody. When you're a fight fan, he's the guy that fight fans love. You love a guy like this that wants to prove himself against everybody and wants to fight every weekend. And then with some people, he has the personality that people love to hate too. So you literally couldn't have a more perfect fighter than Hamzat.
Again, another maybe lesson to other fighters as well regarding attitude, because the attitude that he's shown, that he wants to do it week in, week out, and the way that he's carrying himself, he's caught your affections, caught the affections of the UFC. And if he's doing that, he's going to get work.
Well, I've never had a guy like this. I've never had a guy, and Cowboy said it best today, never had a guy that was willing to fight every weekend, but actually takes no damage when he goes into a fight. So he's capable of doing it.
No, absolutely. Just a couple of other fights that I just want to speak to you about firstly from a British standpoint. Obviously, we've been keeping tabs on Leon Edwards and where he's at in that welterweight division. That welterweight division is absolutely lit right now. We know that you've said yourself that it'll be Usman Burns next. We've got Colby against Woodley. Where does Leon Edwards fit into this mix for you?
Yep. what Leon Edwards needs to do is sit back, watch the fight this weekend, see how everything plays out. He couldn't be in a better position right now. He's one of the top guys in the world. A couple of things haven't gone his way and have fallen out, or however it's played out. But all he's got to do is sit back and watch and stay ready, stay healthy, be ready. Something big's coming his way.
That's good to hear. Really good to hear. We heard you speak recently of making Masvidal Diaz 2. How far down the line are you with that? And is that going to be something that maybe kicks off 2021?
Yeah, I'm really only focused on Fight Island in the end of this year, and we'll see how that thing plays out.
Finally, we can't have a conversation without mentioning Conor. I know you've mentioned him a couple of times throughout the course of the conversation. You said that you've got some fun stuff lined up for him. Does fun stuff mean? Does it mean fights?
I talked to him a couple of days ago. No, not talking about fighting right now, but working on a couple of other fun projects for him. He's interested, so we'll see if we can get it done. If we do, I'll probably be talking about it after Fight Island.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you very much for doing Fight Island. We booked a ticket, so we'll see you out there, my friend. We're looking forward to it.
I look forward to it too. I'm excited.